AITA for exposing my wife's late office meeting with one text message. My phone buzzed at exactly 4:47 p.m. on a Wednesday. The text was from my wife, working late at the office conference. Don't wait up. I stared at the message for a moment. A conference? She had never mentioned a conference. In our 8 years of marriage, she was the type to grumble for weeks about even the slightest mandatory meeting. And now, suddenly, she drops this bomb so casually. The tone felt strange. We had plans for dinner. Nothing fancy, just our Wednesday ritual, Chinese takeout, and a quiet chat. She knew I looked forward to it, but apparently, this mysterious conference was more important than giving me a heads up. I leaned back in my chair, rereading the text. The tone was off. Usually, her messages were more detailed, filled with gossip about who said what and how boring everything was. This one, however, was cold, distant, like she was notifying a roommate, not her husband. For the past 3 weeks, she'd been acting strangely. Coming home later, taking calls in another room, being vague about her day. And then there was Qley from accounting. She had mentioned him more in the last month than she had her own boss all year. Qley thinks the new system is inefficient. Qley suggested a better way to handle the reports. Qley has the most hilarious stories from his weekend. Qley. I decided to test a theory. My fingers slid across the screen. Hope you and Qley from accounting enjoy the presentation. I hit send and waited. The reply came immediately. Not immediately like someone starting to type. Immediately like she already had the phone in her hand, waiting for my message. The 3 little dots appeared, then vanished. Then reappeared. She was panicking. My phone rang. She never called during my work hours. Hey, honey. Her voice was a higher pitch than usual. I just saw your text. Why did you mention Qley? He's not at the conference, either. You talk about him so much I just assumed he would be. Silence. Then a little, nervous laugh. Oh, well, yeah, maybe. It's a big conference. Lots of people from different departments. I'm not even sure who all is going. Interesting. Yesterday, she told me Qley was working on a special project with her department. Today, she does not know if he will be at the conference. What's the conference on again? I asked. Another silence. It's about new compliance procedures. Boring stuff. You know how these corporate events are. I knew exactly how corporate events were, and I also knew her company's fiscal calendar. They never held major conferences mid-quarter. Too busy with actual work. Sounds riveting, I said dryly. What time does it end? Late, probably around 10 or 11 p.m. There's networking afterward. Networking until midnight on a Wednesday night. Her boss was really pushing the team, apparently. Well, you know how our industry is. In reality, I knew perfectly well. I work in the same industry at a rival company, and we have never held a compliance conference past 7 p.m., let alone until midnight. I'll let you get back to your conference, I said. Drive safe. I hung up and looked at the clock. 5:03 p.m. If this conference was so important and urgent, why could she spend 10 minutes on the phone talking about Qley from accounting? My gut was already telling me everything I needed to know, but my mind wanted proof. I opened my laptop and went to our shared phone account. Her location sharing was still enabled. According to the GPS, her phone was at a restaurant across town, not at her office building or a conference center. The restaurant was called Bella Vista, an Italian place with dim lighting and intimate booths. Perfect for a romantic dinner, terrible for a compliance meeting. I leaned back again and digested the information. My wife of 8 years was lying to me. She was having dinner with another man and had fabricated an entire story to cover her tracks, the same man she had been mentioning nonstop for weeks. But instead of anger, I felt something else. Clarity. I had been seeing the signs for weeks, but had been giving her the benefit of the doubt. The late nights, the secret phone calls, the new clothes, the sudden interest in the gym. Classic infidelity behaviors I had been too naive to recognize. Now I had confirmation. I looked at my phone again. Should I drive to Bella Vista? Confront them in public? Make a scene? No, that is what emotional men do. Men who react instead of plan. I had a better idea. I sent another text. Hope you and Qley from accounting enjoy the presentation. This time, I watched her location in real time. Within 30 seconds, the phone started moving quickly, faster than a walk. She was running to her car. 18 minutes later, I heard the key turn in the lock. Her hands were shaking so badly it took her 3 tries to get it open. Honey, she called out, her voice trembling. I'm home early, she said. The conference got canceled. Technical issue with the projector. I walked into the kitchen where she was still standing, coat still on, clutching her purse to her chest like a shield. That's a shame, I replied calmly. Good thing you hadn't ordered dinner yet. She blinked rapidly, confused. What about the conference dinner? Good thing they canceled before you ordered food. I hate wasting money on room service. Oh, right, no dinner. But I could smell garlic bread on her clothes. And there was a small red sauce stain on her white blouse. A stain that was not there this morning. So, how's Cole? I asked casually. Her face went pale. Cole? Yeah, Cole from accounting, the one you hoped would enjoy the presentation. Did he make it to the conference before they called it off? She opened and closed her mouth like a fish out of water. I don't know why you keep asking about Cole. Just curious. You talk about him so much I feel like I know him already. She forced a small laugh. Oh, do I? I don't even realize I'm doing it. I smiled. Not a warm smile. The kind of smile that does not reach your eyes. Must be my imagination. She then excused herself and went upstairs to change, but I noticed she took her phone with her. When she came back down, she was wearing a different perfume. Not the light floral scent from this morning, but something stronger, likely to cover up another smell. I ordered Chinese, and we sat on the couch. She kept glancing at her phone, jumping every time it buzzed. When an unknown number called twice, she declined the calls. Busy night, I remarked. Just spam calls, she said quickly. At 9:30 p.m., she let out a theatrical yawn. I'm exhausted from that whole conference mess. I'm going to turn in early. But she did not sleep. I heard hushed phone whispers from the bedroom, and when I walked past in the hall, she went silent immediately. I went into my office and opened my laptop. It was time to investigate Cole from accounting. Social media made it easy. Cole Evans, 29, single, worked in the same building as her. His latest post showed him at the Bella Vista restaurant that night. 2 hours ago, the photo showed a candlelit table set for two. The caption read, "Great dinner with someone special." Posted at 7:23 p.m., exactly when my wife was supposed to be learning about compliance procedures. I took a screenshot and saved it to a secure folder. Tomorrow, I would start making some calls, but tonight, I preferred to let her think she was in the clear. The best strategies require patience, and I was just getting started. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. Her side of the bed was cold, meaning she left early, very early. A note on the kitchen counter said, "Emergency meeting, back tonight. Love you." An emergency meeting on a Thursday. Her company did not work like that, but I admired her commitment to the lie. I called in sick to work. For the first time in 3 years, I had more important things to do than quarterly reports. First stop, her office building. I parked across the street with a clear view of the employee entrance. If she really had an emergency meeting, I would see her car. If she was lying again, well, that would tell me everything I needed to know. By 10 a.m., I had seen dozens of employees enter the building. Her car was not in the lot. Her usual spot was empty. Second stop, I drove to the Bella Vista restaurant. Lunch service had not started yet, so I walked in and went straight to the hostess. "Excuse me, I think my wife left an earring here last night. She had dinner with a colleague around 7 p.m. Table for two, probably by the window." The hostess smiled. "Oh yes, I remember them. A lovely couple, very romantic. They looked so happy together." Romantic, that was the word. They stayed for a long time, until about 8:30. They ordered the anniversary special. The gentleman seemed nervous. He kept looking at his phone. What a lovely gesture. You don't see that kind of thing much these days. My blood ran cold. A proposal? Well, not a proposal exactly, but he gave her something in a small box. She seemed surprised but happy. It was a very emotional moment. I thanked her and left before I said something I would regret. Back in the car, I sat in the parking lot, processing the information. Cole had given my wife a gift. She had been moved by it. They had ordered the anniversary special, as if they were celebrating something. 8 years of marriage, and she was celebrating anniversaries with another man. I drove straight home and went up to our bedroom. If she was hiding gifts from Cole, she would keep them somewhere I would never look by chance. The jewelry box was too obvious, under the mattress too amateurish. Then I remembered her gym bag. She had been going to the gym a lot lately. The perfect hiding spot for someone who thinks their husband will never look inside. Bingo. In a zippered pocket, wrapped in tissue paper, was a silver bracelet. Expensive, engraved with the words, "Forever yours, C." My wife has no friends whose names start with C, only Cole. I took photos of the bracelet from every angle, documenting the engraving. Then I packed it all back up exactly as it was. Next, I decided to check her laptop. She had been careless with her passwords lately, probably because guilt makes you sloppy. Her email was still open. I found what I was looking for immediately. Dozens of messages between her and Cole over the last 2 months. The first few were professional, talk of spreadsheets and quarterly reports, but they quickly evolved. Thanks for listening today. You really get me. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. These meetups are the best part of my day. My husband would never appreciate a sunset like you do. You see the beauty in everything. Then came the more recent ones, the ones that made my fists clench. Last night was perfect. I never imagined I could feel that way again. We need to be more careful. I think he's getting suspicious. Cole, I love you. I know this is complicated, but I can't pretend anymore. I love you. She loved him. I took screenshots of every single message and sent them to a secure email address I had created just for this. Evidence for later. The last message was from that morning. Can't see you today. He's acting weird. I need to lay low for a few days. Miss you already. So that was it. She was not at any emergency meeting. She was hiding from me because she thought I was getting suspicious, and she was right. I closed the laptop and went to my office. It was time to look up divorce lawyers. But before that, I needed to understand exactly what I was dealing with. I called her company's main line. Hi, this is Dr. Miller's office. I need to confirm an appointment for Mrs. Parker today. She mentioned a work conflict. One moment. The receptionist came back quickly. I'm sorry, but Mrs. Parker is not scheduled to work today. She called in sick this morning. Oh, that's strange. She told me she had an emergency meeting. No, sir, she's definitely not here today. Would you like to reschedule? I hung up. Third lie. My wife was somewhere in town, lying about being sick, probably with Cole, while I was at home like an idiot, while she was building a whole other life with another man. But I was not an idiot anymore. I spent the afternoon digging into Cole's social media profiles, his address, his work history, his ex-girlfriends. By sunset, I knew more about Cole Evans than his own mother. 29, divorced last year, no kids. He lived in a condo complex 15 minutes away. Made a decent salary, but nothing impressive. Drove a Honda Civic, liked craft beer and hiking. Most importantly, he had a reputation. 3 women in his Instagram comments mentioned learning the hard way what kind of man he was. One ex posted something cryptic about how cheaters never change. My wife was not special. She was just next in line. At 6 p.m., the key turned in the lock. She walked in looking exhausted, as if she had spent the entire day running on adrenaline. So, how was the emergency meeting? I asked from the kitchen. She froze. What? The emergency meeting this morning. How did it go? Oh, fine, just some budget issues. Very boring. Must have been serious for them to make you come in on your sick day. Her eyes widened. Sick day? Your office said you called in sick. I called to see if you were free for lunch. I watched her mind race, trying to find an explanation for the contradiction. I was sick, but they called and said they really needed me for this budget thing. So I went in anyway. Such dedication. Most people would have stayed home and rested. Well, you know how responsible I am. Responsible, right? Was Cole in on that budget meeting? You know, your coworker from accounting. Same reaction as yesterday. Panic followed by overcompensation. I don't know why you keep talking about Cole. He's just a coworker. It's just that you mention him so often lately. I thought maybe you were friends. We're professional colleagues. Nothing more. I nodded and smiled. Of course, just professionals. She excused herself and went to take a shower. While the water was running, I checked her phone. She had changed the passcode since yesterday, a new 4-digit combination. But I noticed something odd. Her phone case was different. Yesterday, it was black leather. Today, it was blue silicone. Someone had given her a new case. Someone whose favorite color was blue, according to his social media posts. When she came back downstairs, I was sitting on the couch reading a book. What's that? She asked, noticing the book in my hands. An article about workplace relationships. It says most extramarital affairs start with emotional connections between colleagues. She nearly dropped her coffee mug. That's interesting. It says here that 65% of affairs begin with innocent conversations about personal problems. The other person becomes a confidant, someone who understands better than the spouse. Her face was growing paler by the second. Why are you reading about infidelity? I looked at her with innocent eyes. Research for work. We're updating our HR policies on corporate conduct. I want to make sure we cover all the scenarios, I commented, turning the page of the article. According to this, the most common sign is when one person starts working later than usual, getting mysterious calls, or mentioning a coworker's name more often than normal. She sat down across from me, nervously fiddling with her new phone case. Those signs seem pretty vague. They could be innocent. True. But the article says that when multiple signs appear together, they usually aren't innocent anymore. I turned the page theatrically. It also says the guilty party often starts arguments with their spouse to justify their behavior. They create emotional distance, so their affair seems less wrong. She was silent for a long moment. Have I been starting arguments? I feigned thoughtfulness. Now that you mention it, yes, you've been more critical lately. Little things, my coffee habits, the way I load the dishwasher, the choice of restaurants. I didn't realize. It's okay. The article says it's a subconscious behavior. The person doing it doesn't always notice. I could see her mind working, probably wondering how much I actually knew and how much I was just guessing. The truth was, I knew everything, but letting her think I was just casually reading articles was far more effective than confronting her directly. She went to bed early again, more phone whispers, more lies about being tired. But I was not tired at all. I had research to finish and plans to make, because tomorrow, I would start gathering the kind of evidence that cannot be explained away with excuses. On Friday morning, I woke up with a plan. She was in the shower when I called her office. Good morning, Parker Industries. How may I help you? Hi, I'd like to send some flowers to one of your employees. My wife works there, and I want to surprise her for our anniversary. That's so sweet. What's her name? Mrs. Parker. She works closely with Qley from accounting. I figured it would be nice to have the flowers delivered during their team meeting today. I'm sorry, sir, but Qley called in sick today. And Mrs. Parker doesn't work on Fridays anymore. She switched to a 4-day schedule last month. A 4-day schedule? Since when? Are you sure? She left for work an hour ago. Let me check. The sound of keyboard typing. Yes, sir, it's definite. She hasn't worked on a Friday since the beginning of March. Exactly when the messages with Qley started getting personal. Thank you for your help. I hung up and stared at the time. She had been lying about working on Fridays for months. Every Friday, she got dressed, grabbed her work bag, and left the house as if she were going to the office. Where was she really going? When she came downstairs, I was making coffee. Big day at work? I asked casually. Same old, busy Friday. That quarterly report is still keeping you busy. Yes, very demanding project. I nodded sympathetically. Well, don't work too hard. It's Friday, after all. I'll try to finish early. She kissed me on the cheek and left. I watched her drive away from the window, then immediately got in my car to follow her. She did not drive toward the office. Instead, she drove to the same condo complex where Qley lived. She parked in a visitor spot and went straight into Building C. I parked behind a maintenance truck and waited. 45 minutes later, Qley appeared in a second-floor window, shirtless. He waved down toward her car, then disappeared. 5 minutes later, my wife walked out of the building, adjusting her clothes. She was being intimate with him in his apartment while I thought she was at work. For 2 months, every Friday was their affair day. I followed her to a coffee shop where she sat alone for an hour, probably coming down from the high of betrayal. Then she went grocery shopping, picking up supplies for dinner, playing the part of the devoted wife perfectly. This was her routine. Work 4 days, cheat on me on Friday, then come home and pretend everything was normal. I went home and called a divorce lawyer. Miller and Finch, Denise speaking. I need to make an appointment for a divorce proceeding. Of course. What's the general situation? Adultery. I have proof. What kind of proof? Text messages, emails, photographs, witness testimony, GPS location data, and visual confirmation. That's very thorough. Can you come in on Monday at 10 a.m.? I'll be there. When she got home that night, she was in an unusually good mood, humming while she cooked, smiling for no reason. The afterglow of a rendezvous with her lover. You seem happy. I remarked. Just a good day at work. We finally finished that big project that was stressing me out. The quarterly report. Exactly. It feels good to be done with it. I bet. You worked so hard on it. All those late nights and early meetings. She nodded enthusiastically. But it's finally over. Things should get back to normal now. Normal. As if anything about this was normal. We should celebrate, I suggested. How about I surprise you with dinner tomorrow night? That sounds perfect. I was thinking we could go to your office. I can bring takeout. We could eat in the conference room where you had all those meetings. I want to make it special, I said. Her smile faltered. At my office? Sure. I've never seen your workspace since they renovated, and I'd love to meet some of your coworkers, especially Cole. You talk about him so much I feel like we're practically friends. She was silent for a long moment. I don't think that's a good idea. Building security rules, they usually don't allow visitors after hours. What about during regular hours? I could bring you lunch on Monday. Monday is a really busy day. Maybe some other time. I smiled. Of course, some other time. On Saturday morning, I initiated phase 2 of my plan. I had a great idea, I announced over breakfast. Let's do something spontaneous today. Let's drive up to the coast, walk on the beach, have dinner at that seafood place you love. She seemed genuinely excited for the first time in weeks. That sounds wonderful. Perfect. But first, I need to stop by your office. I left some papers in the car yesterday, and I want to grab them before we go. At my office? Just a quick stop. You can show me the new conference room while we're there. Her enthusiasm vanished. Actually, I don't think that's necessary. What papers? The car insurance documents, just in case we have any trouble on the road. We can get them later. It'll only take a minute. Come on. I'm curious to see where you spend all your time. She was cornered. To refuse would be too obvious. To agree could expose her lie about working on Fridays. I don't have my badge. No problem. The guard can let us in. They're very strict about visitors. I'm not a visitor. I'm your husband. The word husband made her flinch. Maybe we should just go straight to the coast, she said weakly. After we stop by your office, I insisted. 20 minutes later, we pulled into her company's parking lot. It was nearly empty, just a few cars from the weekend maintenance staff. It's quiet, I remarked. Yeah, most people don't work weekends. Still, with all the overtime you've been putting in lately, I thought more people would be here. We walked toward the main entrance. She was slowing her pace with every step. Maybe this isn't a good idea, she said as we reached the door. Why not? I just remembered they changed the security protocols. Spouses aren't allowed in anymore. I walked over to the directory board next to the entrance. According to this, weekend visitor hours are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Family members are welcome if accompanied by the employee. She was running out of excuses. What exactly are you afraid of? I asked directly. I'm not afraid of anything. I just think this is pointless. Then let's go in. The guard recognized her immediately. Mrs. Parker, don't see you here much on the weekends. Just a quick stop. And this must be your husband. She talks about you a lot. I shook his hand. Nice to meet you. I've heard a lot about this place, especially the Friday projects she's always telling me about. The guard frowned. Friday projects? Ma'am, you don't work on Fridays anymore. I turned to my wife. Her face was ashen white. What do you mean? I asked the guard. Mrs. Parker switched to a 4-day schedule months ago. Monday through Thursday. I haven't seen her here on a Friday since March. Interesting, I said slowly, because she's been telling me all about her Friday meetings, late-night conferences, urgent projects. The guard looked between us, realizing he had just walked into a delicate situation. Maybe I'm mistaken? No. I interrupted, not taking my eyes off her. I don't think you are. She opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came out. In fact, I continued. Yesterday, she told me about a big quarterly report she just finished, the one that kept her so busy on Fridays. We finished our quarterly reports 3 weeks ago, the guard said, helpfully. Sent them to corporate on the 15th. I nodded. So, there were no Friday projects, no late-night conferences, no emergency meetings. Not that I'm aware of, sir. I turned to her. So, where have you been going every Friday for months? She was trembling now. I can explain. I'm sure you can. But we'll talk about it at home. We drove back in complete silence. She stared out the passenger window, probably trying to figure out how to spin this new truth. Once we were home, I sat in the living room and waited. Do you want to tell me where you really spend your Fridays? She sat across from me, hands clasped tightly in her lap. I go to a therapist. A therapist? Yes. I've been going through some personal things, and I didn't want to worry you. What kind of personal thing requires 8 hours of therapy every Friday? It's not just therapy. It's a whole wellness program. Therapy, meditation, group sessions. What's the name of this wellness center? Silence. What's your therapist's name? More silence. Or, we could call them now and confirm your appointments. She broke. Okay. I'm not going to a therapist. Then where are you going? I needed some time alone to think about our marriage. And this thinking time really required you to go to Cole's apartment every Friday morning? Her face went completely white. How did you? I followed you today. I saw you go into his building. I saw you come out an hour later looking like someone who had just been intimate. She started to cry. Not tears of sadness, tears of guilt. It's not what you think. Because I think my wife has been cheating on me for months. I think she's been lying about her job to cover up an affair. I think she's been sleeping with another man every Friday while I thought she was earning money for our household. Please, let me explain. Explain what? The lie about the conference, the lie about working Fridays, the lie about the therapist? Which one do you want to explain first? She was sobbing now. I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen. And you've been lying to me about it for months. I love you. No, I said firmly. You don't. People who love each other don't do this. It was a mistake. A mistake that repeated itself every Friday for 2 months. That's not a mistake, that's a choice. She looked up at me, desperate. What are you going to do? I stood up. I'm going to the coast like we planned. But alone. Please, don't leave me. You already left me. I'm just making it official. I grabbed my keys and walked to the door. When you're ready to tell me everything, we can talk. But I'm done with the lies. As I drove away, I saw her in the rearview mirror, standing in the doorway, crying. But I felt something I had not felt in months, relief. The games were over. We could finally deal with reality. I spent 6 hours driving along the coast, windows down, thinking clearly for the first time in a long time. When I got home at midnight, she was waiting for me in the living room, her eyes red and a box of tissues beside her. We need to talk, she said the moment I walked in. Now you want to talk? I've been thinking about everything. You deserve the truth. I sat across from her, arms crossed. Go on. She took a deep, shaky breath. It started in February. Cole and I were working late on a project. He overheard me complaining about how we'd grown distant, how we didn't talk anymore. So you decided to talk to him instead of me? It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It was just venting to a friend. And when did this friend become something more? Gradually. He started texting me outside of work, asking how my day was. He remembered things I told him, things you should remember. It felt nice to have someone care about the details of my life again. I leaned forward. When did you start lying to me? The first time he asked me to lunch, I said I was going out with the girls from HR. And when did lunch turn into something more? She flinched. 3 weeks later. I went to his place after work one day. It just happened. Nothing just happens. You made a choice. I know. I made the wrong choice. How many times? What? How many times were you intimate with him? She was silent for a long time. Every Friday for the last 2 months. 8 times. At his apartment. Yes. Did you ever bring him to our house? No. Never. Did you tell him you loved him? Her silence was answer enough. I saw the emails, I said. You told him you loved him. You said I would never understand you the way he does. I was confused. Were you confused when he gave you a piece of jewelry? Her hand instinctively went to her wrist, where the bracelet was hidden under her sleeve. How do you know about that? I know everything. The restaurant, the anniversary dinner, the love letters, the Friday routine. I've known everything for days. Then why didn't you say anything? Because I wanted to see how far you would go with your lies. And apparently, pretty far. She started crying again. I'm so sorry. I know I hurt you. You didn't hurt me. You destroyed 8 years of marriage. It's not the same. Can we fix this? I looked at her. Fix what? Your lies, your betrayal? The fact that you've been living a double life for months. I'll break up with Cole. I'll quit my job. We can go to couples therapy. You think this is about Cole? It's not. Cole is just a symptom. The problem is you, your character, your choices. People make mistakes. Sleeping with another man 8 times is not a mistake. Planning secret rendezvous is not a mistake. Lying to my face every day for months is not a mistake. She was sobbing uncontrollably now. What do you want me to do? I want you to stop pretending this was all an accident. Say what you really did. I had an affair. I lied to you. I betrayed our marriage. Why? Because I was selfish. Because I liked the attention. Because it was exciting to have a secret. Finally, some honesty. Do you love him? I thought I did. And do you love me? Yes. Then why did you choose him over me for 2 months? I didn't choose him over you. Every Friday, you chose him. Every time you lied, you chose him. Every time you deleted a message or hid a gift, you chose him. She had no answer for that. What happens now? She asked. Now, you're going to leave. What? I want you out of this house by tomorrow night. Where will I go? That's not my problem anymore. Can't we try to work this out? Work what out? How to trust someone like you again. How can I ever believe anything you say? How do I forget that you cheated on me for months? Other couples get through this. Other couples don't matter. We matter, and we are over. Please, don't do this. I stood up. I'm not doing anything. You did this when you started lying, when you started cheating, when you chose another man over your husband. I'm choosing you now. Too late. You had 8 years to choose me. And you chose him. I started walking up the stairs. Where are you going? To bed. You can sleep in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow, you pack your things and leave. What about our marriage? I stopped at the top of the stairs and turned back. We don't have a marriage anymore. We have a divorce to plan. On Sunday morning, I got up early and made phone calls while she packed upstairs. First call, the bank. I need to have someone removed from our joint account immediately. Is this related to a divorce proceeding, sir? Yes, I have proof of adultery. We'll need you to come in tomorrow with the proper paperwork, but I can place a temporary restriction requiring a dual signature for withdrawals. Perfect. Second call, my lawyer. This is Mark Parker. We spoke on Friday. I need to expedite things. What's the urgency? She confessed to everything last night. A full confession. I recorded it on my phone. You recorded her? The recording app was running when she started talking. It's perfectly legal in this state. Bring everything in on Monday. We'll file immediately. Third call, her mother. Hello, Mrs. Reynolds. I need to talk to you about your daughter. 20 minutes later, I had explained everything to her parents. Her mother cried. Her father was quiet for a long time before saying, I'm sorry, we didn't raise her to act this way. I know, but I thought you should hear it from me. What can we do? Be there for her. She's going to need her family's support. And you? I'll be fine. When she came downstairs with her suitcases, I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a folder full of documents. What's all that? She asked. Bank statements, account information, credit card statements. Why? Because as of tomorrow, you are financially independent. Her face went pale. What does that mean? It means you no longer have access to our checking account, our savings, or the credit cards. How am I supposed to live? The same way you were planning to live with Qley. I wasn't planning on living with Qley. You should have thought about that before you started an affair. She sat down across from me. Be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You want to be single? Now you're financially single, too. What about the house? What about it? The house is half mine. Actually, it's not. Look at the deed. It's in my name only. I bought it before we were married. I slid the deed across the table. Her name was nowhere on it. But I paid into it. You contributed to household expenses. That's different from ownership. This isn't fair. Fair? You cheated on me for months and lied to my face. Fair left in February. What about my car? It's in your name. You can keep it. What about my retirement? That's yours, too. I never touched it. She was starting to understand. I had been protecting my assets for years without even realizing it. Her betrayal had exposed her own financial vulnerability. Where am I going to go? Qley's apartment worked out well on Fridays. No, I can't live with Qley. Why not? You love him. It's complicated. It was complicated when you were married. Now it's simple. You're single. She started to cry again. You're being cruel. I'm being pragmatic. You made adult decisions. Now there are adult consequences. I made a mistake. You made 8 mistakes. Every Friday for 2 months. My phone buzzed. A text message. Who is it? She asked. Cole. Her eyes widened. Cole is texting you. I showed her. We need to talk. Can you call me? He wants to talk to me. About what? Let's find out. I called him on speaker. Hello, this is Mark Parker. You wanted to talk? Yes, sir. I heard what happened. From who? She called me this morning, crying. I looked at my wife. You called him before you even finished packing. She did not respond. I have a question for you. I continued. Okay. Did you know she was married when you started sleeping with her? Silence. Cole. Yes, I knew. And you did it anyway. It's complicated. Actually, it's simple. You knowingly slept with another man's wife. What's complicated about that? We fell in love. In love? Interesting. So when are you two moving in together? Another silence. What do you mean? She's leaving the house today. She's single now. When are you getting married? We haven't talked about that. Why not? You love her. She loves you. She's available. It's not that simple. Sure it is. Unless you were just using her for intimacy and never intended to give up your single life. That's not. Because if that's the case, then you were deceiving her the same way she was deceiving me. I need to think. Think fast. She needs a place to sleep tonight. I hung up. My wife was staring at me, shocked. He doesn't want me to move in with him, she said in a small voice. Shocking. Almost as if he only wanted easy, no strings attached romance. But he told me he loved me. Men say a lot of things to get what they want. He's not like that. Really? Because he just proved he's exactly like that. She sat there, processing this new reality. The man she had sacrificed her marriage for was not willing to take her in. What do I do now? What single women do? Rent an apartment. Pay your own bills. Live your own life. I don't want to be single. You should have thought of that before you started acting like it. Can we try again? No. Why? Because I don't want to. Because trust can't be rebuilt on a foundation like this. Because you're not the woman I married anymore. People change. Yes, they do. You changed into someone who lies and betrays. And I changed into someone who no longer tolerates it. She picked up her bags. This isn't over. Yes, it is. I'll fight the divorce. With what lawyer? You just lost your source of income. I'll figure it out. Good luck with that. She walked to the door, then turned back. I really did love you. Past tense. Duly noted. After she left, I sat in the quiet house for the first time in months, not wondering where she really was or who she was with. For the first time in months, I felt peace. 6 months later, I was a different man. The divorce was finalized in record time. The recording of her confession made everything simple. No fighting over assets, no long court battle, no alimony. She signed whatever my lawyer put in front of her. I used the time productively. I lost 20 pounds, put on muscle, updated my wardrobe, started a cooking class on Thursdays, and joined a hiking group that met on Sundays. My social life was richer than it had been in years. Work had improved, too. Without the constant distraction of wondering what she was doing, my focus was sharper than ever. I landed 2 major clients and got a promotion with a nice raise. The house finally felt like mine again. I repainted the bedroom, bought new furniture, turned her old office into a home gym. Every remnant of our marriage was gone, replaced by things I actually wanted. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Can we please talk? It's important. I knew who it was. She had been trying to contact me for weeks through different numbers, emails, even social media accounts I had already blocked. I had ignored them all, but curiosity finally got the better of me. What do you want? To apologize. To explain. Nothing to explain. We're divorced. Cole left me. Not my problem. I have nowhere to go. Still not my problem. Please, I made a mistake. I stared at the message for a moment, then replied. You made a choice. Live with it. I blocked the number and went back to making dinner. Later that night, the doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw her car in my driveway. I did not answer. She rang again, then started knocking and talking through the door. I know you're in there. Your car is here. I turned up the volume on the TV. I just want to talk. 5 minutes. I kept watching my show. I was wrong about everything. Cole was using me. I see that now. Still nothing from me. I threw away 8 years for someone who didn't even care about me. Silence. He left me after 2 weeks. Said dating a divorced woman was too complicated. Too much drama. Interesting, but irrelevant. I've been living in a motel for 3 months. I can't afford an apartment. Not my concern. I lost my job. They said the workplace relationship created a hostile environment. She was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. My parents won't help me. They're ashamed of what I did. Good for them. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm desperate. I walked to the window and looked out. She was sitting on my front steps, head in her hands. I felt nothing. No pity, no anger, no regret, just a mild curiosity about how long she would stay there before giving up. After an hour, she left. The next morning, I got a call from her mother. She's in the hospital. What happened? Collapse, exhaustion. She's barely been eating. I'm sorry to hear that. She keeps asking for you. I can't help her. She's your wife. She's my ex-wife. We're divorced. But you loved her once. Yes, once. In the past. It doesn't mean anything. It means I'm grateful I found out the truth before I wasted any more years. Her mother was quiet for a moment. She really did love you, you know. If she loved me, she wouldn't have cheated. People make mistakes. And people deal with the consequences of those mistakes. You're not even going to visit her. No. That seems cruel. What would be cruel is taking her back and pretending 8 months of lies never happened. What would be cruel is enabling her behavior by saving her from the consequences of her own choices. What if she promises to change? She already promised to love, honor, and cherish me, for better or for worse. Those promises didn't hold much weight. So that's it. You're just going to move on with your life? Exactly. I hung up and deleted the number. That afternoon, I had a date, coffee with a woman I had met in the hiking group. Smart, funny, financially independent. No drama, no games, no lies. As I was getting ready, I thought about the man I was 6 months ago, naive, trusting, willing to ignore red flags because he wanted to believe the best in people. That man was gone. The new me demanded honesty, respected boundaries, and refused to tolerate disrespect. The new me did not give third chances to people who proved they could not handle the first. My ex-wife had taught me valuable lessons about character, integrity, and the importance of choosing partners who share your values. And for that education, I was grateful, even if the tuition was high. But I was not bitter. Bitterness would mean she still had power over my emotions. Instead, I felt liberated, free to build a life with someone who understood that love is not just a feeling. It is a commitment backed by consistent action. Driving to my date, I realized I had not thought about my ex-wife in weeks. She had become what she should have been all along, irrelevant to my future. The man who pleaded for explanations and promised to try to fix things was gone. In his place was someone who knew his own worth and refused to settle for less than he deserved. Someone who understood that the best revenge for betrayal is not anger or retaliation. It is living well without them. And I was living very well. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.